Hey guys, welcome to another podcast where I'll be speaking with Paul Peters. And today we'll be talking about AI software development in South Africa and how that has impacted both the job place and software developers in general. So before we get started, I think I would just like, Paul to tell us a little bit about, from his perspective, what does he think AI is currently, how is AI currently impacting software development in South Africa?
Yeah, so I think thanks for having me again, Emmanuel. So I think from my perspective, um, AI development or AI involvement in software is really growing at a very fast rate in South Africa. I think at this current rate, the call is automate, 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 and you're finding a growing and a fast growing adoption of AI development, mainly focused um, on augmenting what the developers are doing. Right, so you find that a number of the developers are using tools such as coding assistants, right? So things such as your GitHub Copilot, your ChatGPT. You find as well things such as Codex, and those are on the rise in terms of developers using them to augment their development capabilities. So
Yeah.
what we're seeing really is around automation, is around augmenting what the developers are doing. And I think at the end of the day, it's the developers that are going to upskill and that are going to collaborate with AI that are going to probably transition into the new
So
space, to the new development space in South Africa.
awesome, awesome. Thank you for that. So now, do you think that that is making developers lazy? Because I was speaking to a friend the other day and small, maybe trying to map through an array or something technical, developers, it's like they're starting to lose the skill for those simpler things, right? The simplest things possible. They started to lose the skill. I'm like, no, I'll just ask AI. Like, do you think this is impacting developers in general? And like, do you think it's making them lazy, or do you think it's not making them lazy because the whole point of coding is not just to just write the code, but actually the output is what matters? Like, what do you think? Like in terms of with developers, do you think it's making them lazy?
I necessarily don't think so, right? Because at the end of the day, within your organization, you have a standard of the quality of code that you expect from your developers, right? So if that is consistently being delivered, whichever way that it's being delivered, then happy days, right? What we're finding is some of the mundane tasks are falling away and are being taken over by AI. But then that also speaks to the need now for the developers to upskill, because some of the work that they used to do, they're no longer doing, right? So they're now going to have to upskill in the AI development space, in the cloud computing space, to be able now to operate at a higher level, having left some of the mundane tasks that they were doing and that are now being augmented by AI. So my answer to that really is in two parts, right? Uh, Number one, as long as it's not affecting your code quality, I wouldn't say that developers are getting lazier. But then also there's a need now for them to transition and upskill, so that even though they're no longer doing that mundane stuff or the less augmented stuff that they were doing, they have new skills that they bring into the mix, and that also helps you to, number one, cut your costs, cut your time to delivery, and also maintain or improve the quality of the code. So at the end of the day, it's how you manage it within your organization.
That is great. That is good. So now, because I'm now thinking, if they no longer focus on the mundane task, what is now important? What should they be focusing on as developers now, whether it's upcoming developers or senior developers that have been doing this for over a decade or under a decade? What are those elements? What are those things that they should now be focusing on?
I think the number one marker that you look at is where the money is going, right? Follow where the money is going. So you find, for example, there's in South Africa there's massive investment into cloud infrastructure and cloud computing. There's massive investment into the AI space. The government recently, last year, 2024, they put together the draft national AI plan. And their target was, look, we want to have invested 70 billion rand into the industry by 2030. We need to have at least 5,000 AI experts until 2030 again, right? So if you follow the money, you know where you need to improve, where you need to invest to upskill, right? So that's like, as I mentioned earlier on, it's in your cloud infrastructure space. So it's not just the code side; it's also maintenance of cloud infrastructure, powering cloud infrastructure, creating cloud apps and cloud first solutions, and marrying that with AI. And you find, for example, in South Africa, we have a regional advantage, right? Because a lot of the investment in that space has come to South Africa as opposed to other African countries, right? So we get the first mover advantage, because the money is being put there by most of these hyperscalers. So if you're a developer sitting in your office today or in your home office today, I would say just follow the money, follow where the big guys are investing the money, get into those spaces, upskill in those spaces, and you'll be all right. You'll be fine.
That's very good. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much, Paul. You know, when you speak about cloud, it's very interesting because I'm not sure if you're aware, but an incident happened this week and last week, right? Where Cloudflare this
Yeah,
week went
Cloudflare.
down, and then AWS last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, went down as well. Now, if you look at these things that is happening, is it what does that say about the future of the cloud that you're saying? Like, do you think it's still like cloud, or do you think it's coming back to on-premise, or is it like a hybrid? Like, where are we going with that? And then to intricate this other question into that, um, you said South Africa is host being like, the first mover now and is getting the investment, and most of the cloud, like for example, AWS now, their first data center was in Cape Town, right? So which is good. But now, with that being said, do you think Africa should own its own data centers? Like rather than, because what I've seen, I went to the IT lab, which happened, I think, sometime 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And I see a lot of data centers that are just being set up, but most of the time, these are data centers being set up by foreign companies in South Africa, right? So your AWS, your Azure, all of these guys setting up data centers here in Africa. So it's not really our, yes, it's their company and they're trying to bring our data closer to us, but it's not our company, it's not an African company. So, like in respect to that, what do you think is the future of that cloud? Yes, we're going to cloud, but do you think it's a full-on cloud? Do you think it's hybrid because of what happened recently? And do you think we should own our own data centers and host our data ourselves? Or should we now continue to wait for AWS, Azure, Microsoft to all come here and deploy the data center before we use it?
So to answer your first question, I think a multi-cloud strategies would be wise. So for example, if you're a company just running on AWS last week, you'd have struggled, or if you're on Cloudflare this week, you'd have struggled, right? But if you had a multi-cloud strategy where some of your stuff is on Azure, some of your stuff is on AWS, some of your stuff is on Huawei, right? You're able to at least operate or move around your assets as and when you need. So I think going forward, yes, cloud. I'm a big believer in the cloud, but I believe that you need to have a multi-cloud strategy. It needs to be hybrid, and you need to be able to allocate your resources depending on what you feel is the risk management or the risk pricing for each hyperscaler, right? So if you believe, for example, that AWS has got less probability of being down as opposed to Huawei, right? That can then inform your allocation of resources into those different data centers, right? So, and then also coming to your second question, right? So you find your international hyperscalers have the pockets, they have the deep pockets to be able to execute on this opportunity right now, right? But you find also, like you're saying, there are local players, like for example, Strive Masiwa with his cassava outfit. They recently partnered with NVIDIA, and they're setting up infrastructure starting in South Africa and also going into East and West Africa, right? So there's a little bit of local play, but the model is shown by Cassava Technologies and Strive Masiwa is a model of strategic partnership, right? You need to partner with an NVIDIA, you need to partner with another hyperscaler to be able to have both a homegrown solution, but also having the deep pockets of an international hyperscaler that wants to scale across Africa. But I think the major challenge with the African born solution right now is number one the capex, right? It's a heavy endeavor from the setting up as well as powering the data centers, and so you need to be able to marry your local expertise with international capital to be able to deliver on that. So that's just my thinking. Like I said earlier on, right? I'm all for the cloud, right? And I believe that for AI to be really adopted across Africa, it has to be it has to be cloud powered AI at the end of the day, and I think that's where we're going.
Awesome. Okay. No, that's great. So yes, we are going to cloud. But now, do you think we are putting the horse before the water, or the how do they make their proverb? And the reason I'm asking this is because and this is now coming back to the AI and to startups and to the local play. In Africa, we don't have a lot of startups that have scaled or that are like that are requiring a lot of like cloud resources, right? So now, but we are trying to also build data centers. So from your perspective, what do you think we should be focusing on? Yes, we should focus on getting cloud and everything, but to me, I think it's like you're building a house without anyone living in it or anyone trying to live in it. Don't you need to have people that say, "Oh, I want a house," or "I want to live in a house" before? Don't you need that demand before you create supply? Because we need startups to be more successful to get to the point where they are scale ups so that they can have like because remember setting up these clouds are very expensive. Like that's one of the reasons why and not just anyone can set it up, because there's no point in you setting up a cloud infrastructure but now no one is hosting on it. Do you understand? So don't you think we need to get to a point whereby startups in South Africa, in South Africa, and even in Africa are becoming more and more successful and living longer and or living, being sustainable, as opposed to just, get focusing on the cloud side?
So I think there's a part that you're getting wrong there, right? I'll take you back. At least I'm old enough to know this story. I'm sure have heard this a lot. Africa likes to leapfrog technologies, right? A couple of years back, 20, 25, 30 years back, when the pioneers were launching mobile telephony, cell phones in Africa, right? A lot of people had not even heard a phone ring in Africa, right? But there were guys that were saying we want to launch cell phones, right? So we went to from a place where people had never had a landline in their house, they never had a phone ring in their house, to having a cell phone in your pocket, right? So, so my argument with that is, I think we're ready. I think we may not have the skills, but I think the teacher will appear, the student will appear the teacher will appear when the student is ready, and I think we're ready. I think at this point it's another inflection point where we are leapfrogging, right, and not necessarily saying we need to build the foundation first and then we go incrementally, but we leapfrog this technology. We are so is a point of an example. Do you know that in South Africa the AI adoption is at 60%? So your average worker in South Africa, there's a 60% share of your average workers in South Africa using generative AI. And that beats countries such as the UK, the US, and France. So South Africa is currently beating those countries in terms of usage of generative AI, right? So you find we may not have the skills, but in terms of usage, you're already ahead of these guys, right? So technically, in the near future, we're going to have to need these resources, right? We're going to solve for things such as energy, right? There's an argument around dense energy and light energy, and what really we need to power these data centers, right? But I think we have the right mix. We have a very young population across the continent, young people that are hungry to take these skills up and really leapfrog together with this technology. Usage and uptake of these technologies, AI and the cloud, are also growing rapidly in Africa as compared to first world countries. The investment is coming. And yes, right now, a lot of it is coming into South Africa. But as adoption grows, it's going to be spread
Okay, I lost you for a second there. Are you still there? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Looks like your video went off. So, all right. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
were talking about the uptake of technology.
Yeah, so I think we've got the perfect mix in terms of this opportunity, right? We've got a very young population. We've got a track record of leapfrogging these technologies. There's growing investment into these technologies and in the infrastructure that follows it. Then yes, there will be growing pains, but I think we'll be all right.
Okay. No, that's great. That's great. So now backtracking towards like AI and how it is used. How do you think businesses, whether tech or non-tech, now how do you think they are using business? How do you think they are using AI currently? Because and this is a report by MIT which said that 95% or so of pilots are failing, right? So like currently from your experience with your clients or with the business you interact with, how do you think they are using AI? Why is it failing? At least based on the pilot that was run in the US. Obviously, that doesn't apply to South Africa, but in South Africa, do you think they are succeeding? And if not, why?
So I think the usage of AI to date has been user driven, right? So in that case, these are the employees, right? So you're an accountant or whatever role you have within a company, and you want a quick solution or a quick analysis done for you, right? The employees are taking the initiative to use generative AI to help them in their jobs. I think the next wave that we need to see is active engagement from corporate level, from company level, saying, right, what preparation do we need to put in place to help our people and to help our business to use AI to the utmost? Things such as trainings, right? To be able to facilitate and to be able to help employees within the company to use AI in ways that don't put the companies at risk, right? Because there is obviously risk that is associated with that, right? So what we need to start seeing now is corporate driven initiatives that are around training, right? Training the customer clients in things such as prompt engineering, right? And it's not just training your developers, it's training everyone. It's training your accounting team, it's training your marketing team. They need to know how to engineer a proper prompt, right? They don't need to key in ChatGPT like they're keying into google.com, right? They need to know how to prompt, how to deep search, how to get that nugget that they're really looking for, and how to cross verify this information before they tout it as truth, right? So I think where we need to go with it is from from user driven engagement to where it's now being led by companies and corporates around issues of training, issues of compliance, and issues of making sure that it doesn't harm the business at the end of the day. Within our business, we're beginning to communicate with the clients and say, look, this is the growth that we've experienced so far has been driven by your employees, right? What are you doing as a company or as a business, right, to equip your people and not also to put your company at risk? And what thoughts do you have around training, right? So it opens up a whole new table of opportunity. Okay, now you're talking training. Now you're thinking, okay, can we develop training programs that you can then now come into corporates and train our clients, right? How are we going to build that? How would that work, right? And all the incumbent questions that then come with that. But that would be my position on that.
Great, that's great. No, thank you so much. Although from my perspective, I would say I have a very different direction to that. So a lot of the clients that I've worked with, one of the things I see with them is, yes, they've heard of AI, they know what AI is, but they have no clue how to use it. Probably the best case they can see they are using it is even the CEO or whatever employees is just from ChatGPT. And that's it. That's the limits they have right now. As long as they can text ChatGPT, I'm guessing that's what AI is right now. But the truth is, when it comes to actual implementation in their business, they have no idea, right? They don't understand how we can help their business. They don't even understand if they are AI ready, because some business think, oh, I can just plug in AI to make things better, but it's not the case. You understand? What AI does is AI optimizes and AI scales, right? If you have a process for doing things, AI will do it 10 times better because that process works. But if you don't have a process of doing things, AI cannot make it better. You understand? AI cannot fix what is broken. So what is broken needs to be fixed. And this is where a lot of companies are also being exposed, especially from the data engineering perspective. I think this is something that we're going to see start coming up, like data engineering as a role, because many of these people, they don't have a proper, well siloed data. A lot of their data is scattered. You understand? Some of them are being lost in the contact form. Some of the ones that are visiting the website is being lost, and then the ones in the database are only for the customers. So, like the data are just very siloed, like in different places in isolation. It's not being funneled correctly. So, because of
Yeah.
that, when you finally say, I want to use AI, or I want to build a model, I want to integrate AI, it's like, okay, cool, but your data is not even clean. Your data is not even labeled. Your data is not even arranged. You don't even know who is who. You don't even know who is your customer or who came to visit or who is just browsing or who is asking questions. You see? So I think before we even think about companies adopting AI, we need to get it back. And this is where your points, like based on what you said, might have an issue with respect to Africa leapfrogging. Because now we're leapfrogging, we're not getting the basics right. You see it. We are jumping, we are not fixing the basics, right? So you're quickly just saying, oh, we're going to the cloud, oh, we're doing this, oh, we're doing that. But the thing is, when you're in the cloud now, if you don't set up things like CloudWatch on AWS or something, you would not know, you would not have those analytics, you will not have those data, you will not
Exactly.
have those metrics.
Exactly.
You see, so you've
Exactly.
leapfrogged to put your stuff on the internet or sorry, on the cloud, but you've not set up the proper funnel that is relevant to your business. You just poof, you went there. You see. So I think
Yeah,
yes, we're ready. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think, I think, I think we're saying the same thing, right? Coming back to my last point, there's a burden of responsibility for companies such as yours and mine now to say, look, how do we take advantage of this opportunity? How do we get our clients ready,
Yeah,
right, for this, right? And it's an opportunity to say, okay, you're going to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to create a data engineering course within my business. I'm not just a coding business. I'm not just a custom software development business. I'm going to create a data engineering course that I'm going to say to my clients, look, this is what's happening. This is the wave that's coming. You need to prepare for this. This is the course. I'll take you over a 3 day period. I'll charge you 5,000 per participant at your premises, and we'll train you guys. Right? We'll train you on prompt engineering. We'll train you on how to manage and make sure that your data is not siloed, right? And it's in one place. It's well integrated, and how to then monetize that data, right? So I think is that we're saying the same thing, and I think we need to recognize the opportunity for what it is, right? There's that opportunity to say, okay, we're going to leapfrog, but what can we do, right, in the meantime to better prepare our clients to do that,
yeah, yeah,
right? And that creates a revenue stream for us, apart from just looking for your next coding gig or your next project, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so like you've pointed now. So that's what I mean by us getting the basics right. So I think what we should also be doing is when a client comes to us or we working with a business or a founder, we don't just say, okay, cool, we will implement the solution. Or, we first need to first audit that business and find out, first of all, what kind of solution do you want to build? Because I think one of the things Muse Studios specialize in is intelligent custom software, right? That's one of the things we do. We're making software intelligent. We're in the future where people want to talk to us. They don't want to be clicking all the buttons, finding out where things are. They just want to talk to the software. But now for that thing to be successful, every data needed by that AI needs to be streamlined. It needs to be well labeled. It needs to be well organized. You understand? So we first have to find out from the business, okay, how are you currently receiving your contact? Where is it going to? How are you currently storing customers' data? How are you currently storing visitors? What are your metrics? How do you know who came to your website? So like there's so many business that have, because I audit a lot of websites, a lot of platforms, and they don't have analytics on it. They don't know I was there. They can't track that I came to their website and my eyes went to the left, went to the right, came down and left. They can't track all of that, but yet they want to just, implement AI or whatever. So I think we need to help them get the basics right in order to set
Yeah,
them up for success. You know.
yeah,
Yeah. So now I think before because we're coming to a round off now. So just a few pointers now that I wanted us to add, one final closing. Um, so in your perspective or from your perspective, um, based on what we just spoke about now with respect to the AI and especially how software development is being done, what is one immediate solution that businesses can implement for them to start seeing a return? Like what is one thing they can start doing right now for them to start preparing for the future of AI? Because this is just the hype. We're not there yet.
yeah.
This is just the hype. Once the bubble bursts, what is it that we can do or what is it that they can do to prepare themselves for that?
Yeah. So I'll just come back to my previous point. They need to capacitate their employees and run programs within their businesses to
Yeah.
prepare their employees for AI and cloud adoption, right? I know there are a lot of boot camps out there. There are a lot of other providers out there, right? And that is a sector that is growing, but I think we're not seeing enough of that kind of an investment, right? I see, yes, businesses have a budget for trainings, right? But we're not seeing a lot of that budget allocated to things such as AI education, and people don't even understand what the cloud is, right? So those kinds of things, right? So I think for us to prepare, right, we need to go on a crusade, and evangelize this AI and cloud story to our clients, right? To go into corporate and say, look, guys, this is what's happening, this is what's coming, right? We know you've got a budget for training for your employees. Let's allocate a little bit of that to AI education, right? Let's educate your employees on the kind of risks that they expose the business to if they use AI willy-nilly, right? And what kind of compliance frameworks can we create within the business to make sure that the business is protected um, from these sorts of things, right? So I think the next port of call for us is to draft a strategy and say, look, this is the need. The businesses, both small and great, that have this need. How can we eat the elephant and prepare the clients for AI and cloud adoption across Africa?
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much, Paul. Thank you so much for taking time to jump on the call with
thank you.
me. Like always, it's been a pleasure chatting with you and talking more about the industry, software development, and AI. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you like, subscribe to the channel, and have a great weekend. And thank you very much.